You're watching KATU News on Digital.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome into today's Digicast. I'm Noelle Ford. I have Sami Holm here with me. Sami, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Noelle, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, Sami, this is exciting. So she is our special projects producer, one of them here, and of course tomorrow is primary election day. And they have been getting us ready for election season. They've been doing a lot of hard work doing the Know Your Candidate series. So Sami, this is a great tool for anybody who may not know too much about even the candidates for tomorrow's race. And, you know, some people may not even know what's on the ballot. There's so much for different counties. So can you walk us through how people can access this Know Your Candidate site?
Absolutely. So the awesome thing is that our web staff, they pinned our Know Your Candidates index to our main web page. That way you can access it, you know, tomorrow, if you're filling out your ballot and you want to check out the Know Your Candidates page, you can just type in KATU.com and it'll be, boom, right there on the web page. And when you scroll down, you can see all of the lists of the primary races and the candidates that are running in those races. And each of the videos and interviews that we've done with those candidates are hyperlinked, and that way you can click on those and get a snapshot into the person that you will potentially want to vote for. And it's, I think, just a really great tool and a really great way to get to know the people that want to represent you.
No, it's awesome, Sami. I was just kind of showing people some glimpses of the page, like you were saying. There's the index where you can find all the different candidates, click on it. And I wanted to talk to you about some of the questions that you asked the candidates. So were they all similar questions that you brought to the candidates, like, say, two different candidates running for the same position? Would it be similar questions then?
So the candidates who were running for a particular race, they were asked the same questions
Gotcha.
to ensure fairness. And we varied the questions depending on the race as well. So with the Attorney General race, we asked about, you know, what do you think you could do as Attorney General about the fentanyl crisis? Mm-hmm. So we tried to pair each set of questions to the particular role that that candidate was running for.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch on some of the bigger races. So I know locally, Sami, a lot of people are watching the Multnomah County District Attorney's race. The incumbent Mike Schmidt is running against Deputy DA Nathan Vasquez. But I know statewide, some of those congressional races, they could end up changing the makeup of Congress eventually. A lot of eyes are on Oregon right now, if we want to talk about a few of those.
Absolutely. I think probably most importantly is Oregon's 5th congressional district, where Lori Chavez-DeRemer, the Republican incumbent, is facing opposition from Democrats Janelle Bynum and Jamie McLeod-Skinner. And that is one of those races where our political analyst, Jim Moore, who will be on at 4 p.m. tonight, he has said that that is one of those races that is going to potentially shift the balance of power in Congress. And so I think it's very interesting that that's happening right here in our very own little Oregon.
Yeah, I know it's a seat the Democrats want to pick up, and we know, like, the makeup is it's a very slim majority there for Republicans in Congress. So really any seat could tip the balance.
Yeah, it'll be an exciting one to watch for sure.
And then Rep. Blumenauer's seat. I thought that was interesting because there are so many candidates who are trying to fill that spot. I wrote them down. It's like a huge list right here,
Yes,
Sami.
it really,
so
really is. I think the main three that people will be watching are Sushila Jayapal, former Multnomah County Commissioner. People will be watching Maxine Dexter, former state rep, and Eddie Morales, former Gresham City Councilor. And I think that those three will be sort of vying for the seat. But it is important to note that there are 4 other candidates running. There's Ricardo Barajas, Nolan Bailenga, who's actually a student getting his master's from Portland State University, which I think is interesting, and Michael Jonas, who's a small business owner and business attorney, and Rachel Lydia Rand, who is a climate activist. And so, I mean, there are a lot of candidates running and who really want Earl Blumenauer's seat. It's a huge district, and it's a really, really important seat, so it makes sense.
And with all those candidates running, it'll just be interesting to see how that primary turns out.
Absolutely.
Some other things that I did want to talk about, because, you know, it's so important to know what races are going on, the candidates, but also what time we need to have our ballots in by. I know that is tomorrow, 8 p.m. You need to have it postmarked by or dropped off in one of those ballot drop boxes. That is important. Do not forget to do that,
Do not
guys,
forget.
please. But also get out there and vote. We were just talking about this earlier this morning. Voter participation right now is not very good, Sami. We have the numbers over here. So majority of voters have not cast their ballots just yet. So as of Friday, we went to the Oregon Secretary of State. just over 425,000 ballots have been returned.
Wow.
It sounds like a lot, at least to me, 425,000, but it's only 14% of the state so far, which just is not good turnout at this point.
I think with the primary race, people might think, okay, come time for the general, I'll get in there and I'll vote. But it's really important to remember that this primary is really, really important in that really all eyes in the nation are on Oregon because, like I said, Lori Chavez DeRemer's seat in Oregon's 5th congressional district, depending on who gets that could very well, as I've said before, change the entire makeup of Congress. So it is really important to get out there and vote. And tonight, starting at 4, we'll have K2's Christina Giardinelli covering the reasons behind low voter turnout, and we'll have some analysis from our political analyst, Jim Moore. So we're looking forward to having his expertise and as well as Nina's story to give us some more insight into why voter turnout is so extremely low.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. I remember in my old market, we kind of had a similar issue where the voter turnout was much lower. I think it was right after. It was right after the 2020 election. And I just remember our county clerk, that's kind of just what we call whoever's in charge of the elections of the county in Illinois. They were saying that just because people get what's called voting fatigue, like we've heard about the election so much, and people sometimes just like don't want to go out and vote. So that was part of the reason, just hearing about it all the time. So I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe that's part of it.
I think maybe another theory too is that people are just so locked up into these voting silos. So people know that, you know, especially with the presidential, there essentially is no presidential primary this time around. I mean, there is a Democratic opposition to Joe Biden, but we kind of all know that Joe Biden's going to be the Democratic nominee. So I think people feel a little bit hopeless to the circumstances, and they think, okay, well, you know, whether or not I want this candidate, they're here and they're who I have to choose between. So I think people are just experiencing some fatigue, like you said, and maybe just feeling a little bit helpless to sort of the circumstances and the options that are in front of them. So
100%. And I feel like the presidential one is, of course, the one we focus on throughout the whole entire year, all the time. But I mean, the ones that affect you the most personally are the more local ones. So that's what's on the ballot tomorrow as well. It is really important to vote in those more local elections.
Absolutely. And that's what's going to create change in Portland and what's going to create change in Oregon. So it's really, really important to be engaged with voting, especially this time around. It could not be more important.
And then I know tomorrow, Sami, we'll be tracking all those results out there. I'm sure we'll be covering both those congressional races, the DA's race, any other big one that I'm missing that we're going to be covering?
Yes, we'll be covering, our coverage will be sort of spread out. We'll have people covering the DA's races. We'll also have people covering CD3 as well as CD5. And so you can watch all of our K2 News coverage on the elections tomorrow, just throughout the day.
I'm excited for that, Sami. Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll have K2 News people out everywhere tomorrow for that. And then, Sami, I did want to talk to you about a few stories while I have you here. So we've been, all out hiking more, out in the outdoors with the nicer weather. But we do have a warning this morning from Multnomah County deputies to stay on trails if you go hiking.
Very important.
Yeah, 100%. So it comes after a woman died after falling during a hike near Multnomah Falls yesterday. Multnomah County deputies say that the woman was hiking with her friends. When she separated, she went off trail and fell 50 feet. The group was hiking on the Oneonta Trail. It is about 20 miles east of Troutdale. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office said that it happened at around 4:20 yesterday. Cascade Locks Fire responded. They determined that woman was dead. Deputies say that several people called in after seeing her fall.
Wow.
We received a second call from someone who said there was people with the hiker that fell, and they were performing CPR. If you go off trail, it can be very dangerous, and unfortunately that's what happened here.
And then a group of about 20 high school search and rescue volunteers retrieved that victim's body. The other members of the hiking party were able to safely make it to the trailhead. We don't know the name of the hiker. And like I mentioned earlier, though, please just stay on the trails if you do go hiking. This is just one example, and it's so sad that we've already had a death this early in the season, Sami.
And I think it's just, I think about it in my head, too, about how easy it would be as just walking on a trail to, maybe get sidetracked by something beautiful that you see, and you might want to go off the trail a little bit to look. But this is just such an important reminder that no view is more important than your safety. And so I hope that people, in this tragic event that happened will look at this as a reminder of how important their safety is.
Yeah, nothing worth risking that. And
absolutely.
The next story I wanted to talk about, we're moving back in Portland. Portland police say that somebody is throwing cans of food from a tower downtown from a residential building.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they're asking for your help finding them. Officers, they've heard multiple reports of somebody throwing canned goods from the Ladd Tower. That's over at Southwest 13th and Park Avenue. A bartender who works nearby says her coworkers warned her about it, and then she actually saw the evidence herself.
Our colleagues are outside having smoke breaks. It seems like that's when the cans are being thrown. We found a big old dent on the top of my car. As you can see, just barely missed the windshield by about 2 inches.
So police say they do want to catch whoever is doing this before they seriously hurt someone, but they say it's difficult to pinpoint which apartment that person is in. Management at Ladd Tower says they're taking the claim very seriously, but Sami, their security team hasn't found any evidence. Thankfully, though, like I mentioned, nobody's been seriously hurt from this incident, but I mean, that's just a crazy, I've never heard of that happening before.
It seems like an interesting form of retaliation. I'm not sure what necessarily they're upset about, if they don't like the noise, but there are better ways to deal with that.
If they're even upset about anything. But police are investigating, so of course we'll be following that investigation for sure. And then this was something caught on camera, so I'm just going to pull up the video for you guys to see it. But it does involve a runaway boat here. So yeah, just take a look at your screen. So there was a runaway boat. This was over on the Willamette River. It brought traffic to a stop. So the boat's driver, he says it had a full tank of gas when he lost control and was flung into the water. Portland Fire and Rescue says a caller reported the boat at around 1 Friday afternoon. I mean, can you imagine just being boating out there and seeing a boat just spinning all out of control with no driver?
That is just so terrifying. I can't even, no.
No, so Sami, Portland Fire and Rescue, they did work with Multnomah County deputies and the Coast Guard to wrangle the boat. They used a lasso maneuver to take control of it and then eventually turn it off. Boat's driver told officials that he slipped while operating the boat's tiller. And then he fell in the water. So just unfortunate there. But luckily, it doesn't look like anyone was hurt. It looks like deputies were able to go get that boat under control. But when that guy fell into the water, though, it caused the boat to turn sharply, speed up at the same time. So it was just, it was a whole thing down there.
And I mean, in the sense of a lasso maneuver, was that really just kind of over your head and then we're catching you, boat?
Just like catching, when they say lasso, I think it just means it attaches onto something. So, when you lasso something, you attach it and pull.
That makes more sense than actually throwing a...
I mean, it might look like a lasso, yeah. Probably.
Maybe. Who knows?
I'm sure they have a lot of different things that they can do. All right, let's get to some trending news now, Sami. This is exciting. Not this story first. This one, it's kind of sad for you Red Lobster fans out there. They filed for bankruptcy. This is after they announced they were closing a lot of stores. The good news is, though, Sami, I checked, no Red Lobsters in the Portland area will be closing. A lot of our viewers were really nervous. You guys were very dedicated to this story. We have a lot of Red Lobster fans out there. So they filed for bankruptcy, just came in this morning. The company is in $1 billion in debt, Sami. Yeah, it's a lot. They blame mismanagement, inflation, but also they lost money with the endless shrimp promotion. They underestimated how many people would be eating shrimp.
That's
Think about
interesting.
It. $20 all you can eat shrimp.
And they thought that would be what brought people in, and
they lost a lot of money.
It's what led to their demise, unfortunately. But it's good that we still have Portland Red Lobster staying open.
Probably not all you can eat shrimp anymore, though. I'm sure they've learned their lesson after that.
Unfortunately.
And like I said, 93 restaurants, thankfully none in the Portland area. But this is a happy trending story, at least in my eyes. I don't know how anyone would be mad at this. Target is cutting prices, Sami. Have you ever heard of that? A company cutting prices?
No.
It's rare. It's very rare. So it's thousands of different items. They made that announcement this morning. And it's just because of inflation. It's just because people can't afford anything right now.
Wow. I mean, that is very interesting. I feel like I've avoided Target in my personal life and shopping just because the prices have gotten
No, yeah.
a little out of control. And that's the reason why.
And it's for household items too. It's not even like fancier items. It's for things like milk, butter, groceries. For example, I just wanted to find some items. So Clorox wipes, they're $5.79 normally, and they're going to be lowered to $4.99. And that's that's pretty significant. 'Cause
absolutely.
if you buy 10 different things and about a dollar is saving, that's $10 right there. You know what I mean? So it could make a difference if you do go to Target. Maybe your shopping cart will be a little bit less expensive once you leave.
Yes, thank goodness. I think we all need less expensive shopping trips.
Less expensive anything.
Yeah.
So that is our time for the Digicast today. Sammy, tonight we're going to have that story about voter participation, and then Jim Moore, you said at 4 he's going to be speaking?
Starting at 4, and then we should expect Nina's story at around 6.
All right, that's awesome. Then tomorrow morning we'll have more just previewing the election day on KATU News this morning. And then tomorrow night, that is going to be the
is
big
go
night.
time.
Yeah.
That is go time.
And we'll be back here on the Digicast, though, tomorrow to talk to you about just the elections happening on Election Day. So that's going to be exciting. Everybody get out there, get out and vote. Let's get that number above 14%.
Yes,
please.
let's do it. At least 25. Come on, we can do it. I believe in us.
All right, have a happy Monday, everyone.
This has been a KATU News Digicast. KATU News is on your side.